Have you ever looked at a watch and thought, the price doesn't make any sense? Some watches seem to defy logic, not because of their incredible engineering, but because of the sheer insane hype surrounding them. Welcome back. My channel provides independent market analysis. I'm an economist, not a watch dealer. I don't do paid posts or sponsorships. I buy my data from credible sites like Watch Charts. Today, we're going to dissect some legends of the Holy Trinity of watchmaking and ask a tough question. Do they really hold their value? Now, when we talk about the Holy Trinity, we're referring to the absolute pinnacle of watchmaking, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin. These brands are legendary for a reason. Their history, their craftsmanship, it's all top tier. But even legends can have their missteps, or at least models that don't quite live up to the monumental hype. What we're going to do today is look past the marketing and the buzz. We're going to let the data do the talking and uncover whether some of their most talked about watches are truly wise investments or just beautiful, overhyped assets. Let's start with a giant of the watch world, the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. Specifically, we're looking at the platinum version with diamond indices, the 5711-1P. This is more than another Nautilus. It was released as the final tribute to the now discontinued 5711 line, with a retail price of around $116,000, extremely limited production, and that stunning platinum case. It was destined for exclusivity from day one. But what happened next was pure market madness. Secondary market prices did more than climb. They exploded, peaking somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000. Yes, you heard that right. That's a 3 to 4 times premium over retail. Now let's be clear. What we're observing here wasn't really about craftsmanship or history anymore. It was about scarcity, speculation, and pure unfiltered hype. So it begs the question, while the 5711 has become a grail for many, at nearly $500,000, is it a masterpiece of value or a perfect example of a bubble waiting to burst? From a story of pure scarcity, let's shift gears to a watch that tried to build a brand within a brand, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore. Launched as the sportier, bolder, and much larger sibling to the iconic Royal Oak, the Offshore was aimed at a younger, edgier audience. It was a statement piece. But the story gets really interesting when you look at the numbers. Does that bold identity translate into strong value retention? What the data suggests is that many offshore models really struggle. Take the stainless steel Offshore Diver in green. It's trading about 20% below its retail price. The titanium Offshore 43 with the blue dial, down nearly 29%. But here's the big surprise. The white gold Offshore Diver, it has lost a shocking 54% of its value. Even the use of a precious metal couldn't save this model from steep depreciation. Now, it's not all bad news for the Offshore. We're seeing that certain models, particularly those in full ceramic or some limited stainless steel editions with hot color dials, do hold their value or even trade at a slight premium. This suggests that exclusivity and material innovation are key. So what's the takeaway here? The Royal Offshore tried to carve out its own path, but the pricing data shows it's often living in the shadow of its more famous, more collectible, older brother. All right, we've seen a watch driven by scarcity and another that struggles to escape its sibling shadow. Now let's turn to a watch that was meant to be a direct challenger in the luxury sports category, the second generation Vacheron Constantin overseas chronograph. This was VC's answer to the Nautilus and the Royal Oak. It's beautifully made, has a fantastic movement, and offers that understated elegance Vacheron is known for, which I personally admire. But did it win the fight on the secondary market? Let's look at its journey over the last decade. This graph tells a fascinating story. For years, from 2014 to 2020, this watch often traded between $12,000 and $14,000, which were consistently below its retail price of around $20,000. Then the 2021 market boom happened. We all know about that. And the overseas was lifted with the rising tide, spiking to around $24,000 to $26,000. But now, from 2023 onwards, is a correction back down to earth, settling in the $14,000 to $18,000 range. What this seems to indicate is that the overseas chronograph struggled to find its footing against its rivals. Even during the biggest watch market surge in recent history, it couldn't quite sustain those top-tier hype levels. It's a solid watch, no doubt, but the data shows it's often been overlooked. Now, for our final example, let's look at a watch that broke all the rules of design. This was AP showing its most creative, avant-garde side. It was a bold and artistic experiment, but did collectors embrace it? The data here tells a very clear, if somewhat cautionary tale. Unlike the other watches that saw a boom and bust cycle, the millenary shows a steady, consistent depreciation. From holding a value of around $25,000 shortly after its release, it has slowly drifted down, down, down. By 2025, prices are hovering between $15,000 and $18,000. That is a 40 to 50% loss from its original retail. The Millenary's avant-garde design, while technically brilliant, seems to have alienated many traditional collectors. It's a powerful reminder that in the world of high-end collecting, radical design can be a very risky bet, and it serves as a cautionary tale about how bold choices don't always pay off in the secondary market. So, after looking at these four very different watches, what have we learned? The data seems to show us that hype can create incredible, gravity-defying prices, but it doesn't always translate to long-term, stable value. And perhaps more importantly, not every watch that comes from the Holy Trinity is a guaranteed home run. The market has its favorites, and the data reveals where collectors are really putting their money. But at the end of the day, we're all here because we love watches. Collecting is about passion, history, and the art on your wrist. So our advice is always the same. Make sure you're buying what you love, not merely what's trending. Now I ask you, which of these watches do you think is the most overhyped? Or is there a big one that we missed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.